On the 25th of May, Saturn will enter the fiery sign of Aries, marking the beginning of a 3-year-long transit. Expect tension, disruption, and the pressure to face what's no longer sustainable, both in your life and in the world around you. Hi, I'm Sophie. I make videos about astrology from a psychological and archetypal perspective. If you'd like a private reading with me, you can book through my website, link in the description below. In today's video, we're going to explore the upcoming Saturn in Aries transit, which begins on the 25th of May 2025 and ends on the 13th of April 2028. This is a major shift that will activate different areas of your life depending on where your rising sign falls. And if you're approaching your Saturn return, this period could feel especially significant, marking a time of deep restructuring and personal accountability. We'll start by looking at the nature of Saturn and how it interacts with the fiery, action-driven energy of Aries. Then we'll dive into what this transit means for your rising sign so that you can prepare for what these themes might bring into focus for you. So let's get into it. Saturn is the greater malefic. It's the last of the 7 traditional planets, and it marks the boundary of the known universe. Saturn's key significations are based around discipline, structure, patience, endurance, and control. It tends to bring about hard truths, responsibility, and adversity, encouraging investment of time and effort to create long-lasting success and real legacy. However, the shadow side of Saturn can often lead to failure, constraint, restrictions, obstacles, delays, and finality. This can lead to melancholy, solitude, and even depression if there's a lack of awareness of Saturn's presence. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, the symbol of the ram, and like the striking of a match, Aries is quick, hot, and initiating. It's the spark of life and the drive to act. It's ruled by the planet Mars, so it reflects themes of bravery, conflict, and a pioneering spirit. In its highest form, it's associated with independence, victory, vital force, leadership, and the will to overcome. In its shadow form, it can represent selfishness, impulsivity, impatience, and combativeness. But the goal of Aries is to embody the youthful, rebellious spirit of fearless discovery and the initiation of new, bold actions, leading the way in all areas of life. But Saturn is in his fall in the sign of Aries, meaning that he's ultimately inhibited in this sign. Where Aries is quick, Saturn is slow. Where Aries is hot, Saturn is cold. And where Aries is first, Saturn is last. So there's a sense of self-consciousness and inhibition with this combined energy, a stuckness or an inability to move forward. And this can look like a crisis to some, and to others, an opportunity for growth. What it will encourage is deep internal will and resilience. So, what does this Saturn in Aries transit mean for you and your rising sign? Starting with Aries Rising, this transit is happening in your first house of the self. This house speaks to your identity, character, physical body, as well as the way you move through the world. The first house is one of the most impactful areas of the chart, often bringing dynamic and deep personal shifts. During this transit, themes around independence, boundaries, and vitality, and your overall sense of identity are likely to come into focus. Aries is impulsive by nature, and Saturn brings consequences. So this transit might feel like a period of learning through action. You might be pushed to take yourself more seriously or face situations that require more discipline. There could be a kind of identity reckoning that leads to some restructuring on how you live, work, and show up in the world. Saturn supports manifestation, but only through dedicated commitment. So it's really important to get clear on your long-term goals and avoid the temptation of shortcuts. Quick wins are unlikely to hold under pressure, and burnout is a risk if you push too hard without a plan. Ultimately, this is about tempering your Aries fire, but not extinguishing it. If you work with the energy consciously, you can build something that lasts. Greater self-respect, stronger personal authority, and a life that reflects your true sense of purpose. Next up is Taurus Rising, where this transit will be moving through your 12th house, the area of the chart linked with isolation, unconsciousness, and the process of release. The 12th house is a liminal space where things dissolve before they take new form. So this isn't a time for external breakthroughs, but deep inner work and quiet reorientation. As Saturn moves through this house, you may find yourself confronting unconscious habits, hidden fears, or areas of your life that you've been avoiding responsibility. Pay close attention to your mental and physical well-being, especially if you notice patterns that pull you away from your center. Solitude might be part of the process, but it doesn't have to be lonely. It can be productive if you use it to reflect and realign. You're essentially laying groundwork for what comes next. It might not be clear right away, but this is the behind the scenes work that will eventually lead to something more solid and liberating. Just remember that Saturn doesn't reward shortcuts. This transit is asking for patience, integrity, and trust in the long game. Overall, it's a powerful time to work with your unconscious pattern, establish clearer boundaries, and reconnect with a deeper sense of inner freedom. Next up is Gemini Rising. During this transit, Saturn will be moving through your 11th house, which relates to friendships, communities, social support, and long-term goals. The 11th house is an aspirational house. It's where we think about the future, set big intentions, and connect with others to help us get there. So with Saturn here, you may be asked to reassess your social world. Who's really in alignment with your path? And where do your goals need more structure? Issues around identity and belonging within groups might come up, and you might find yourself feeling a bit more independent or cut off from certain social circles. But that doesn't necessarily mean that anything's going wrong. It could just mean that some group dynamics are no longer sustainable and need to be shifted. So you might experience a clearing out process, letting go of outdated friendships or roles and making space for new kinds of alliances that are more authentic and aligned. It won't always feel easy, but this is a chance to build a more solid foundation for your dreams and surround yourself with people who support your long-term vision. For Cancer risings, Saturn in Aries transit will be moving through your 10th house, the part of the chart that governs your career, public role, and your broader life direction. The 10th house is one of the most powerful and visible placements in the chart. It tends to bring major developments in the areas of your life where you're most seen, evaluated, and held accountable, whether that's your career, family role, or your sense of public identity. During this time, you may feel a strong push towards independence and personal authority in these roles. You could find yourself needing to assert boundaries or take control where you've previously been passive. Power dynamics may surface, especially if something in your career or public life has become too rigid or limiting. This transit can bring pressure, but also opportunity. You're being asked to take your public role more seriously and align it more deeply with your personal values. This might mean restructuring something or stepping away from outdated systems. Saturn often clears away what isn't sustainable, but whatever's left standing tends to be stronger and much more meaningful. So if you're willing to put in the work, this could be a pivotal period of growth and redefinition in how you're seen by the world. Next up is Leo Rising. Saturn will be moving through your 9th house, which relates to higher education, personal beliefs, philosophy, and long-distance travel. The 9th house is where we explore meaning, vision, and the big picture ideas that shape how we move through the world. It's also a place of problem solving and expansion, though not always in a straightforward way. So this transit may bring a deeper look into your personal worldview. Belief systems or educational paths that once made sense might start to feel limiting, and you may find yourself questioning your direction or sense of purpose. There could be some delays or restrictions around travel, studies, or personal development, but these pauses could actually help clarify what really matters and what's worth committing to for the long term. Saturn is asking you to take responsibility for your path. So it's a time for refining your convictions, but not abandoning them. Be patient with yourself if the answer doesn't come straight away. This is a process of maturing your outlook. So by the end of it, you may have a clearer sense of who you are and where you're heading. For Virgo risings, Saturn will be going through your 8th house, a place that deals with shared resources, debts, inheritance, and the things that we often can't control, but still do need to take responsibility for. The 8th house is sometimes called the idle place or the hidden place, because things unfold here under the surface, slowly and often unconsciously. It's where we encounter psychological material, karmic ties, and the complex dynamics that binds us to others, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. This transit could bring up some important themes around money, obligation, and entanglement. You may find yourself handling matters such as debts, taxes, shared assets, or your partner's finances. Some of these may feel like a burden, but they may also be invitations to reclaim your power through clear boundaries and long overdue responsibilities. There's also a deeper layer to this transit that's not only financial. Saturn in the 8th can highlight the emotional debts that we carry, the parts of us that's tied up in other people's expectations. So this could be an opportunity for you to untangle those threads, even if the process feels uncomfortable at first. It's a potent time to assert your independence, not reactively, but with intention. You're being asked to do the inner work that leads to true karmic liberation. Next up is Libra Rising, where Saturn will be transiting through your 7th house, the area of the chart that governs committed relationships. It's the part of life where the self meets the other and where we navigate union and separation and everything in between. If you're in a relationship, this transit could bring a make or break moment. You might find that the connection strengthens through shared responsibility, or that existing issues rise to the surface and need to be dealt with honestly. For some, this could mean a deepening of commitment. For others, a necessary ending. And it's not just about romantic partnerships. Saturn in the 7th can also highlight dynamics in business partnerships, close friends, or any one-to-one relationship that holds weight. Saturn demands strong foundations. So if something's really shaky, then this transit will reveal its cracks. The Aries energy may trigger tension or the need for bold action, especially if one or both people need to reassert their individuality. If you stay conscious of the power dynamics at play, this can be a transformative period, one where the structure of your relationship is either rebuilt or consciously released, making space for something more aligned. Next up is Scorpio Rising. This transit puts Saturn in your 6th house, which rules daily routines, work, health, and how you manage efforts over time. This is a house associated with labour and service, so you may be called to take a more disciplined approach to the structure of your day-to-day life. Whether it's work habits or health routines, Saturn brings focus to whatever needs to be tightened up. If you're launching a new business or project, this could be a time for hard work and sacrifice, a slow climb that will test your endurance, but in the long term can build lasting results. And if health issues come up, Saturn might be asking for some long-term solutions instead of quick fixes. This isn't about perfection, but about consistency and self-respect. The more structure you apply now, the more strength and resilience you'll gain in the future. Next is Sagittarius Rising, where Saturn will be transiting through your 5th house, which relates to creativity, pleasure, children, and how you express your individuality. This house is often linked to joy and spontaneity, but with Saturn here, you may find yourself taking these areas more seriously. For example, you might be asked to take more responsibility for your creative output, your relationship to leisure, or the way that you approach dating or self-expression. If children are a relevant topic for you, then this could mark a time of increased responsibility or possible delays and challenges that require thoughtful planning. In dating, you might feel the need to take a step back and approach things more intentionally, especially if you've been feeling disillusioned or burnt out. Saturn doesn't want to block joy, but it does insist that what's created has structure and staying power. So, if you're willing to put in the work, this transit could actually help you turn your talents and desires into something real and long-lasting. For Capricorn Risings, Saturn will be moving through your 4th house, which rules home, family, property, and your inner foundations. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and this is an angular house, this transit is likely to be especially impactful, influencing your entire structure of life from the ground up. So you may experience major changes to your living situation, family dynamics, and emotional foundations. This could look like moving house, buying or selling property, or addressing long-standing issues within the family system. In some cases, it's about individuating, stepping away from inherited expectations or family conditioning in order to define home on your own terms. This is a good time to pay close attention to the practical structures of your home life, as well as the emotional and psychological ones, both of which may need reinforcing or rebuilding. So there's an opportunity here to take leadership within your own inner world and take control not through force, but through steady action and accountability. Saturn, through this house, rewards maturity and long-term vision, especially when it comes to creating stable foundations for your future. Next up is Aquarius Rising, where Saturn will be moving through your third house of communication, learning, and your local environment. The third house is where we process information, interact with our immediate surroundings, and deal with day-to-day problem solving. During this transit, you may be called to take a more serious or structured approach to your day-to-day routines, your learning habits, or your relationship with your siblings or neighbours. Themes around community identity may come to the surface, either in the form of conflict or through a growing sense of responsibility to your environment. There could also be some challenges around how you communicate, or what you take in mentally on a daily basis. Saturn will ask for clarity and consistency in the way that you speak and organise your life. If there are any cracks in your routines, communication patterns, or local dynamics, this transit will show them, possibly through external tension or through your own internal need for more order. Handled with intention, this transit could be a time where you really refine your inner voice and bring more focus to how you move through your everyday world. Lastly, we have Pisces Rising, where Saturn will be moving through your second house, which governs money, personal resources, self-worth, and how you sustain yourself in the material world. So this transit often brings attention to financial matters, but more importantly, it asks you to take a serious look at the systems behind your security. Are your resources being managed in a sustainable way? Are you taking full responsibility of your own value, both materially and personally? So there may be some structural issues that need to be addressed, whether that's around income or budgeting, or your relationship to self-reliance. Saturn brings the maturity where Aries brings the sense of urgency. Together, they can push you to take bold and disciplined action towards long-term financial stability. This can at times feel like a test, but if you approach it with patience and determination, it can be a really good opportunity to build security from the ground up. So avoid shortcuts and take control so the work you put in now will pay off in sustainability for the future. So overall, Saturn through Aries is going to be a really pivotal period for all of us. We'll be seeing some really interesting themes take shape. So the reminder here is to take Saturn seriously and don't be resistant to his lessons. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment below and let me know how you think Saturn in Aries is going to affect you in your life. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.